Welcome to another deep dive today.
Right.
We're doing something a little different.
Mm-hmm.
You've asked us to look at the work of Dr. Jose Feneque,
Yeah.
who's a veterinarian and a writer,
Okay.
and see if we can get a sense from his work,
Okay.
if maybe he'd be suited for a career in politics.
Interesting.
So we're looking at one source today, just one,
Okay.
a single essay by Dr. Feneque
Right.
called
Right.
A Spiritual Manifesto Against Fascism, White Supremacy, and Christian Nationalism.
Wow.
Quite a title, right?
Yeah, that definitely sounds like someone who's not afraid to take a stand.
Right.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Right away, we see he's not shying away from strong opinions here.
No kidding. And that's, often a quality that we see in people who are drawn to politics.
Right.
That desire to
To make a difference.
make a difference.
Right.
And he's not just critiquing either.
Okay.
He's putting forward a vision he calls for a new spiritual awakening. It's very much a call to action. He wants people to fight against these forces he sees as really damaging.
And the way he presents this vision, too, right? There's such a passion and urgency to his words. It really makes you think that maybe this is someone who's genuinely concerned about where things are headed.
Right.
And that desire to improve things, like we were saying, that's something you often see in successful politicians.
He gets very specific about what he's against, too.
Oh, okay.
He talks about how certain groups manipulate the Constitution to maintain power, and he feels like this is hindering the nation's progress and stifling its potential.
Yeah, this is a common critique that we hear from people who are advocating for social justice and equity, right? So right there, you can start to see a little bit of a political leaning, potentially.
Right, and he doesn't just appeal to emotion. He brings in science.
Okay.
Argues that it reinforces our shared humanity.
That's interesting.
And even talks about our shared genetic code as a unifying factor.
That's clever.
For all humans.
Yeah, because he's not just, appealing to people who already agree with him.
Right.
He's actually trying to build a bridge between, what we understand through science.
Right.
And then also, people's spiritual beliefs.
Right.
And that kind of,
Appealing to a broader base.
reaching across the aisle kind of approach is very valuable in politics.
Yeah, and he doesn't pull any punches.
Really?
He actually criticizes a criminal president.
Wow.
And says this person embodies the dangers he sees in the system.
That's a pretty bold statement.
It is.
It takes courage to challenge the status quo like that.
It really does.
And
especially when it could make you unpopular.
especially when it can make you unpopular, exactly.
Yeah.
But it shows a certain willingness to stand up for what he believes in. And that's something that we see in effective leaders.
Right. He then goes on to call for new spiritual leaders.
Okay.
Ones who will champion the marginalized and fight against what he calls fascist ideologies.
That's interesting because it sounds like he's not just identifying problems, but he's actually
Putting forth a solution.
opposing a solution. Yeah, and urging action.
A call to action.
Yeah, and that kind of proactive approach can be really appealing to voters.
And the picture he paints of the future is a very hopeful one. One where everyone is free to live, love, and worship.
That sounds nice.
Without discrimination.
Yeah, it might seem a little utopian, but you have to admit it's a powerful vision, and it's something that could really resonate with people who are yearning for, positive change.
And he ends the essay by talking about the power of collective action.
Okay.
And urging readers to join him in building this better future.
Yeah, it's a very, it's inspiring.
Very optimistic.
Yeah, there's a real sense of hope.
Yeah.
It's interesting how he weaves together all these different threads.
Right.
Spirituality, science, and this real call for social justice. It makes you think he really understands how to connect with people on a variety of different levels.
So based on just this one essay,
right.
What's your take?
Well, it's clear that he's got a strong voice. He's got a vision.
Yeah.
And he clearly has this passion for making the world a better place. And you know what? Those are all really valuable qualities in a leader.
Right.
So, yeah, I think it's worth exploring further.
Okay.
I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll dig in a little bit more after the break.
All right. Sounds good. It's like he's laid out a blueprint, for a political platform.
Right.
Yeah. He's got his core values, the key issues, and even some ideas on how to move forward.
But is one essay really enough to tell us if he'd be a good politician? I mean, it's just one piece of writing.
It's true. We are working with limited information here. But, we can look for those qualities that often indicate success in politics.
Right.
And I think even in this one essay, we see several of them.
So what makes you think he could actually make that jump from, passionate writer to politician?
Well, first of all, he can communicate really well.
Yeah.
He gets these complex ideas across
Right.
in a way that's engaging and makes you think.
Yeah.
And that's really important when it comes to connecting with voters.
But politics is more than just
Yeah.
giving speeches, right?
Oh, absolutely.
There's all this
So much more.
dealing with the system and making tough decisions.
Yeah.
Do we see any sign of that in his writing?
Well, we don't see that directly, no.
Okay.
But think about his background.
Yeah, he's a veterinarian.
Right. Being a vet, that takes a lot of scientific knowledge. You got to solve problems and connect with people.
Well, from all walks of life.
Exactly, often in really stressful situations.
Right.
Those are all skills that could be really useful in politics.
So maybe his background is actually a plus.
I think so.
Voters often like candidates
Yeah.
who have that real-world experience
Absolutely.
and offer something different.
A fresh perspective. Yeah.
And let's not forget how he was willing to
Yeah.
criticize those in power.
That's right.
He calls out what he sees as wrongdoing.
Yeah, he's not afraid to speak truth to power,
Right.
even when it could, have consequences for him.
So he's got a strong moral compass.
It seems like it, yeah.
But are those qualities enough? I mean, good intentions don't always get you elected.
No, you're right. Idealism isn't always enough to win.
Right.
But I think his writing also hints at a strategic mind.
Really?
Yeah, the way he brings together these different concepts like spirituality and science. It makes you think he can see the big picture and find common ground between different groups, which is super important in politics.
When you have to build those coalitions?
Right, exactly.
So you're saying he has potential.
Definitely.
Even though we can't say for sure?
You can't predict the future.
Right.
But he's got this mix of passion and intelligence and courage. And he can connect with people.
On different levels.
Yeah, both emotionally and intellectually.
It's an interesting thought, right?
Yeah.
Dr. Jose Feneque, veterinarian writer,
You're right.
maybe future political leader.
It's a compelling narrative.
It is.
And often that's how you start a successful political movement.
Right.
You got to tell a good story, connect with people, and make them believe in your vision for a better future.
So let's just say, for the sake of this deep dive, that he is thinking about running for office.
Okay.
What advice would you give him based on what we've seen in his essay?
I would tell him to really own his background.
Right.
Don't hide it.
Yeah.
His experience as a vet, his compassion for animals, that understanding of science.
Yeah.
Those are all things that make him different from a typical politician.
It makes him stand out.
Right. And voters can spot a phony a mile away.
Yeah.
So being genuine is key. And his personal story,
could really resonate with people.
Yeah, I'd also say he needs to build on what he's already started.
Right.
He's laid out this vision of a more just and equitable society. So now he needs to figure out how he'd actually do that. Come up with some concrete plans.
Yeah, turn that vision into action.
Address those real-world problems.
Exactly.
That's what voters care about.
It's one thing to have big ideas.
Yeah.
But people want to know how you're going to fix things.
Right.
So having a plan shows you're serious.
And that you can actually get things done.
Exactly.
He should also put together a good team
of
advisors.
Yeah, running a campaign is complicated.
Yeah.
Not something you do alone.
Right.
You need experts in all these different areas. Fundraising, communications, policy.
It takes a village.
Yeah, finding people he trusts.
Right.
Who share his values.
Yeah.
That's crucial.
But politics is tough.
Oh, it can be brutal.
Yeah.
It's not for the faint of heart. Can he handle all that? The fundraising, the media, the attacks.
That's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's hard to say without knowing him personally.
Right.
But remember, he was willing to criticize a criminal president.
Yeah, it takes guts.
It does. It shows he's not afraid to stand up for what he believes in.
Even when it's hard.
Right. Even if it makes him unpopular.
But could that also backfire?
It's possible.
Sometimes you need to be diplomatic.
You do. Tactful,
Knowing when to fight?
Yeah.
And when to compromise?
Right.
That's a tough skill.
It is.
And it's something you kind of have to learn as you go. But I do think his writing shows he can think carefully and consider different perspectives.
Okay.
So who knows? Maybe he could apply that to politics.
Yeah, so far we've seen some strengths.
Definitely.
He's got a vision.
Yeah.
He can communicate well. He's courageous. And he knows how to connect with people.
He does.
But there are some unknowns, too.
He doesn't have experience in politics.
It's true.
He needs to develop those specific policies.
Yeah.
And who knows how he'll handle an actual campaign.
It's hard to say.
It's interesting, though,
It is.
to think about the possibilities.
Yeah.
So where would someone like him fit in? Politically? I mean,
That's a good question.
he cares about social justice
Yeah.
and equity. He wants to see big changes.
Yeah, he definitely seems to align with the more progressive side of the Democratic Party.
But could he be successful there?
You know, it's a complicated system.
Right.
A lot of different factions, competing interests.
Could he navigate all that?
It's possible. He's an outsider with fresh ideas.
Yeah.
And he can communicate those ideas in a way that really grabs people.
Right.
So he might appeal to voters who are tired of the same old thing.
Right, looking for someone authentic.
Exactly, someone who's not part of the establishment.
And his experience could inform his policies.
Yeah, absolutely.
His understanding of science, his compassion, those skills he uses as a vet could be valuable when it comes to healthcare, education, even climate change.
You know, he could really become a voice for those who are often ignored.
Okay.
Those struggling to get by, marginalized communities, people who see how everything is connected and how urgent the climate crisis is.
But we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Right.
We only have this one essay.
We do.
It gives us some insight.
It does.
But we don't know if he actually wants to run for office.
Right.
Or if he's cut out for it.
Yeah. Do you think he has the temperament for politics?
Right.
That's a whole other question.
Yeah.
But you know what? He does have a powerful voice.
He does.
A clear vision.
Yeah.
And he really cares about making a difference.
That comes through.
Those are qualities we need more of.
Absolutely.
In our current political climate.
Whether he decides to run or not remains to be seen.
We'll have to wait and see.
But the potential is there.
It is.
We've been talking about this essay for a while now, analyzing it.
Yeah.
But let's shift gears for a second and talk to you, the listener.
Okay.
Why should any of this matter to you?
Right. What's the takeaway here?
We've kind of given you this puzzle,
this
portrait of a potential leader based on his writing. What do you see?
What does it make you think?
Does it inspire you?
Yeah. Do you want to see what he could do?
Yeah.
If he actually ran for office?
Or are you skeptical?
Right.
Maybe even a little worried.
Not everyone's going to be thrilled
Right.
at the thought of a vet with these, socially democratic ideals.
Yeah, some people might think he's too radical.
Yeah, too idealistic, maybe.
But that's what's great about democracy, right?
It is.
We all have different views,
Same priorities.
different ideas about the future,
Absolutely.
and that's reflected in our politics.
It is.
So today, we just wanted to present you with a possibility, a potential path forward that might appeal to some and not to others.
Right.
We're not trying to convince you one way or another.
We just want you to think about it.
Right. Engage with these ideas
Yeah.
and figure out what you believe in.
Because that's what really matters.
Exactly.
Your beliefs, your hopes.
Right.
That's what shapes our politics.
And who knows? Maybe Dr. Feneque's essay will spark something.
A conversation.
Right.
Maybe even a movement.
Maybe it'll inspire someone to take action.
To make a change.
In politics or somewhere else.
Absolutely.
Maybe someday we'll be doing a deep dive into his political career.
That would be interesting.
But for now, we leave it up to you.
It's in your hands.
As Dr. Feneque said,
Right.
the power to make a better future is in our hands. So keep your eyes open, your mind's engaged,
Stay curious.
and your heart's hopeful.
You never know what might happen.
Exactly. There might be change makers out there.
Yeah.
Right under our noses.
Ready to shake things up.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.